Matt Glover Productions.
Chapter 15, Section 8, Cmmi by Matt Glover. What is Cmmi? Cmmi stands for Capability, Maturity, Model Integration, and it is a quality assurance method designed to help organizations improve their performance. Cmmi applies to organizations as a whole, not just to IT projects. Models such as Cmmi are really important in helping an organization build on its past experiences, building on successes and ensuring that previous mistakes are not forgotten, but learning from and ensuring that they will not be repeated. So the triangle. Cmmi describes an organization in terms of 5 levels of maturity. And these 5 levels of maturity are represented by the triangle in the figure below. So the first level, which might be hard to see because the picture uses a very dark coloring in the bottom, is level 1 is the initial, level 2 is managed, level 3 is defined, level 4 is quantitatively managed, and level 5 is optimizing. So I'll go through each of these levels in depth in the next preceding slides. So the first level is level 1, the initial level. At this level, there's minimal organization and planning, and the management at this level is very poor, and as a result, some things within the organization might be done well or satisfactory, but this is due to the initiative of the individual employees, and is more of an accident or coincidence than the result of any formal planning ahead of time. And a very big limitation or drawback at this level is that there's not really any central repository of knowledge regarding like previous experiences and successes and failures in the past, because they lack experience. So this knowledge is only held with the employees instead of centrally by the entirety, because it is lost when the employees move to other organizations, and the organization is basically, they're going to repeat what mistakes they make, and they'll fail to capitalize on their success, and they won't really maximize their potential. So that's the first level. And as you can see in the picture below, this represents this level, and that there's a lot of frustration because you can't reach your maximum achievements, you can't reach your maximum potential, and this is represented in this picture. So the next level is level 2, the managed level. At this level, there is some management that takes place, which allows the organization to track some elements such as cost and timescale of projects. They can start to schedule and plan projects, and they can review by comparing the final performance with the actual plan and scheduling. At this level, however, these tasks still occur project by project. There's no real standards or templates, central templates for how the tasks need to be completed or performed. So this means it's very inconsistent across the organization. The performance isn't very consistent, it's variable, and it depends on the initiative of the individuals in each project. So a major drawback at this level is that they can't achieve the maximum potential on each project because it just changes and fluctuates. So the third level is level 3, defined. At this level, something called an engineering process group, known as an EPG, within the organization defines different standard approaches for key tasks, which really helps resolve a major problem that can be seen in level 2, which consists of there not really being a template across the organization because of the fact that they do their projects by a project-to-project basis rather than have a central template. So this really is a very good solution, and it's a big step up from level 2. And employees can give feedback on these processes using something called a quality management system, or QMS, so that the EPG can improve the standards over time. So this really just feedback helps to fix the major problems and helps to develop standards for the projects. So this graphic just helps to emphasize on the concept of quality management system as mentioned in the previous slide. And it's just a flowchart that helps show the different parts of it, how it includes managing resources and looking at different statistics to result in improvements in the plan and processing of a certain plan, like to make it better, to make it more effective. So this just shows how that works. So the next level is level 4, quantitatively managed. And in this level, statistical data and different tools begin to be used to help define and set goals for the organization to help improve its performance. So an example could be a goal to ensure that all projects are delivered by a certain deadline, such as 2 months before the deadline and within 10% of their budget. And if the projects fall outside of these goals, a review might be held to take place whether they should continue or not with the project. And the picture below helps to give you a better picture of this. Basically what this is saying is it's a much more sophisticated level than level 3, and that they analyze the project in terms of financial and time constraints. And this picture just shows them having a meeting to see the profits. The profits in this case profits, but in other cases it could determine whether it'd be a profit or a loss and whether they're gonna finish the project within their budget and by their deadline. So the fifth and final level is level 5, optimizing level. At this level, the most mature level, an organization makes smaller and continuous improvements to its methods, maybe perhaps by utilizing new technologies or new tools. And at this level, weak areas are identified and improved, but these changes aren't as significant as previous changes that would completely change the way that they develop projects or plan things out. So that you could say that they're more evolutionary than revolutionary. 3 flavors of CMMI. So there are currently 3 flavors of CMMI called constellations. The most famous one available is the CMMI for development. It has been around in one version or another for roughly 10 years and has been the subject of much energy for over 20 years, when including its CMM ancestors. More recently, there's 2 other constellations that were formulated: CMMI for acquisition and CMMI for services. All constellations share many characteristics, but they are fundamentally all nothing more than frameworks for assembling process improvement systems. Each constellation has content that targets improvements in particular areas, tuned to organizations whose primary work effort either develops products and complex services, and or acquires goods and services from others, and or provides or delivers services. So just a note is that none of the constellations actually contain processes themselves. None of them alone can be used to actually develop products or acquire goods or fulfill services. The basic assumption with all CMMIs is that the organization has its own standards, processes, and procedures by which they actually use to get tasks completed or finished. But the content of CMMIs are to improve upon the performance of those standards, processes, and procedures, not to define them. ISO versus CMMI. ISO is a family of quality management standards developed and maintained by the International Organization for Standardization. ISO 9001, for instance, relates to standards in the supply chain, and ISO 14000 relates to environment-related standards. ISO specifications change within time. So the main difference between them is that CMMI is basically related to best practices derived from leaders in the industry, and it relates to product engineering and software development, whereas ISO is a certification tool that certifies businesses whose processes conform to those laid down standards. And ISO is more flexible and applicable to all manufacturing standards, and it specifies to conformance and remains oblivious as to whether such conformance is of strategic business value, which can be a disadvantage of it. So this screenshot is of the ISO 9001, and this just shows how it's basically an overview and is very general. It just shows the benefits and costs and how that relates to performance. So it's not really anything very specific, so it's very general. And here are the sources and credits. Creator of introduction and closing videos and PowerPoint presentation is me and Matt Glover, and then under that are the links that I use for the information presented in this PowerPoint.